This is my discussion slash review for 911 Season 6, Episode 17, titled Love is in the Air. And I gotta say, they made up for it this week for the lack of last week's episode. Let's talk about it.
Live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings, I'm a big fire.
I gotta admit, this week the episode was firing on all cylinders, especially for me, man. Now, the cases this episode were relevant to the title, along with everything going on with our main characters as well. Now, the very first case this episode, for any Vampire Diary fans out there, that chick is Vicky Donovan from the Vampire Diaries. You know, so, okay, that was cool. But we also know that they film in Canada as well, so I felt like that's something, maybe like a slight Easter egg. I mean, if you knew who she was, if you don't, then it really doesn't matter. But I felt like that was kind of cool. But that case with the dude jumping off of the building, I thought, oh, that was so cool. But him getting caught by the bank robber and then just being fled down the highway, I feel like he should have took off the parachute. Just being 100%, he should have took off the parachute. But the chick said yes only because he had been drugged through the highway by the bank robber's car, or the truck. Had he not done that, she would have turned him down, but she also accepted because she felt like having someone turn down your proposal will mess someone up. So she only said yes in that instant, and then she was going to break it off, I guess, in a couple weeks. That is so twisted, man. And then that kind of fed into Chimney's fears this episode, which led into more stuff going along in the episode. But I felt like that was so messed up. She could have just told this dude no, man. But I'm assuming she done it, like I said, because he had been drugged through the highway. That don't make it better, man. You should have just told this dude no up front. But then you go through this episode, and then we have cases like the one with the older lady on the carriage, and you know, she got married. Her fiance this time around had been married. They got separated. They knew each other before, and they both had families, but now they're both divorced, and they decided to marry each other. That brought kind of some spark and hum back in Chimney's life, you know, because he was a little dejected from the first case, and then he had to deal with this case. But when you look at it, that kind of gives you a little bit more hope in this episode as well, with the title Love is in the Air, because that very first chick, yeah, we're gonna write her off. But the second chick with the lady and her fiance, where they knew each other and then they kind of got back together after time and years that went on, lovely, man. They just found each other, and they still had the love that they had for each other. Not to say that they didn't love their family or kids before, but they're not married anymore, and they found each other on the Facebook. So it was nice for them to reconnect and get back together, and now they're engaged to be married. And the fact that Bobby and everybody went out of their way to take her back to the wedding ceremony was lovely, man. And like I said, that gave Chimney just a little bit of humdrum to continue to pursue his engagement towards Maddie. Now, we also see that Chimney is working double time because he got to pay for the ring since he thinks he lost it. I will say big ups to them this episode, because like I said, last week's episode was a little rough for me. But big ups to them for letting Maddie find the ring, put on the ring, get a little happy. She was a little confused about the whole subject, but get a little happy at the same time. And then we see her dealing with a lot more stuff as the episode progresses, because she puts the ring on, the ring gets stuck, she goes to Buck, and Buck just happens to have a ring cutter, but he can't find it, but he just happens to have one. But then he ends up telling her about Hen not really being so excited about Chimney proposing to Maddie, and we knew that was going to send Maddie in a tailspin, and that sent her to confront Hen. Now, her and Hen had a general conversation about it. She went there to go off on Hen, to be fair, but after Hen kind of explained herself, and then Maddie also explained herself, you know what I'm saying? Like, she told her that, you know, she realizes that she did hurt Chimney, but that was because of some of her fears and everything that was going on with them having a kid and the stuff she was dealing with Doug. And we all know how that story went. But the fact that they were both there to have a general conversation, and they both understood each other's point of view, because he had never said what Maddie was going through wasn't important or anything like that. She just was so worried about Chimney. And that was a very valid point, because Maddie was worried too, but she was worried about the entire situation, about him and her and Ji-yoon, about her hurting them because she had been hurt before. It was a whole ordeal. And like I said, I'm happy that Maddie got the help that she needed. And like she said, the program that she's in never really taught her how to apologize to the people that she actually hurt in this entire situation. But this episode spoke so many volumes, and not just for Maddie and Chimney either, man. We see that Buck is on a date with Natalia. I think I called her Nadia last time. But Buck is out on a date with this chick, and he's having a blast. He's having a ball. I didn't think we were going to see her again, but I was happy we did. But their relationship kind of fell flat in this episode because Buck is out on a date with this chick. He had a date night with her at his house, and it's just something, it just didn't go right because every time they got together, Buck was having to deal with issues of all of his exes. Because Lucy showed up this episode, we saw Taylor on TV, and at the ending of their date, where old girl was trying to wrap her head around all the stuff that Buck went through, because I'm sure he told her about Abby too, but after she's trying to wrap her head around all this stuff, we see that, oh my gosh, what's old girl's name? Cameron. Yeah. Her, the chick that's that Buck, used his sperm for to be a donor, for so they could have a kid. She showed up at his house ranting about his friend, not being there for the pregnancy, and now she's staying at Buck's house. The chick was like, "This is too much for me." She found out that Buck is the donor for the kid. Like, this is a lot to take in, Buck. Like, on a first date, like a legitimate date, yeah, this is a lot to handle. So I can understand why she's really not thrilled or intrigued about it anymore. In the beginning, it was kind of cute finding out everything, and like you still got more going on, but this takes the cake. So I can understand her kind of running away a little bit. But at the ending of the episode, we see that Buck is there with Cameron. He went out to get her some pickles, and she's pregnant with his baby. Now, I don't know how that whole story is going to play out with his friend, but I will say this: those kinds of situations tend not to work out that great. You know what I'm saying? So she's there with Buck, and she's technically carrying his child. So we might see this story go in a completely different way than it originally had planned out to be. You know what I'm saying? Her and her husband may end up going their separate ways. Buck may actually step in the father role. It's like, it's a weird story, but things are looking towards that direction, so to speak. Anyway, man, that was great. The stuff with Bobby and Athena was fantastic. But we see Eddie this episode. Eddie is trying to find his own way to deal with relationships because he's tired of his Tia setting him up on multiple dates. He has a dating app on his phone, but he just don't open it. He just doesn't want to open it. But we see this episode that Eddie went on a hike. Eddie was playing golf, trying to flirt with all these women. But we find out Eddie really doesn't know how to flirt, doesn't really know how to connect with women like that, because he met Shannon when they were in the 8th grade and then reconnected in the 12th grade, and he had been with her ever since. He doesn't know how to do the whole dating experience. But Buck made it so bad. Like, yeah, he really doesn't know how to do it. But you ain't got a lot of room to talk, if we're just being honest. But at the ending of the episode, we see Eddie, after him and Bobby went to the hardware store to find stuff for Christopher's project, we see he bumps into Marisol, which just happens to be the freaking chick from with the house, and her brother was in the roof, and they were poking the roof, possibly waiting to stab her brother eventually, because they didn't know what they were doing. But that's crazy. Like, well, Bobby did tell him that, you just kind of gotta let it happen. It'll find you, and technically it did. And as the episode went off, he stopped, turned back, looked at her. She stopped, turned back, looked back at Eddie. So now we'll see him having a connection with someone that might actually go somewhere. But like I said, I always I didn't figure her, but like I knew he had a connection with the movie star chick. But she's a movie star chick, so I didn't see that going anywhere. But it's nice that they brought somebody back that could be good for Eddie. So I'm excited for that, man. Like I said, the episode was great as a whole. We see that Ravi is a freaking, I don't want to say, what is he, a mogul? Like a real estate mogul? But we also have the episode with not the second case, that was the third case with the chick and her husband with the brain cancer. Dude, all of the comedy aside this episode, and all of the stunts and everything, man, that was such a very serious episode. And the song they had playing when all that stuff was going on, then us seeing flashbacks of her and her husband when they met, and when the cancer kind of took hold in his body, that was very emotional, man. Like I teared up, if I'm being honest, man. Like it really got to me because it was just that good. It was just that pivotal, watching that whole scene and the way that Athena was there for her while they were waiting on the paramedics and the detectives and everything was just freaking fantastic, man. That was prime TV and great writing. So big ups to Fox on that, man. Even though, last week's episode was a little rocky, they really hit it out the park with this week's episode, especially for me. The highlight for this episode is the fact that Maddie and Chimney are engaged. Now we see that Chimney's filing the claim for the ring and trying to get the insurance on it, and he's talking to this lady, and that lady said one profound thing for me, man. When he was asking her, should he marry Maddie, and about signs and everything, and when the lady told him that she had been married twice and divorced, and he asked her did she regret it, and she was like, she regrets the outcome or regrets the result, but she doesn't regret the attempt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm assuming that's for both times. So that was profound for me, man. That was very lovely. And at the ending of the episode, we see Maddie fixing breakfast and showing Chimney that she has the ring on, and her and Ji Yoon propose to Chimney. I feel like I love the fact that it kind of got flipped and we just see a wonderful situation. So big ups to Maddie and Chimney for being engaged. I am here for it, and I feel like the perfect way to end the season would be to have them have the wedding at the end of the season. A lot of stuff happening at the ending of the episode, but it wrapped up very, very nice in my opinion, and I'm just excited to see episode 18. And I know that this is going to be the last season of them on Fox, and then they're going to move to ABC for season 7. And we'll see how it plays out once they move to ABC. But I'm still excited, and I'm still a huge fan of 911, so I'm going to check out season 7 as well. This is Brother Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button until you can't smash anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe. Peace out.
I cannot complain because today, I'm doing my thing, I stay my lane and fight through the pain.